Dear students, today we are going to discuss certain details of pricing. In the previous class, we discussed about the steps involved in setting a price and various objectives of pricing. Today the discussion is centered around the factors affecting pricing decisions. We know when a company fixes a price for their product, various factors influence their decision. And those decisions can be categorized into internal factors and external factors. Let's discuss about those factors.
The internal factors affecting price decisions are marketing objectives, marketing mix strategy, costs, and organizational considerations. Similarly, there are certain external factors also, and those factors are nature of the market and demand, competition, and other environmental factors such as economy, resellers, government, etc. So both internal and external factors influence or affect the pricing decisions of a marketer. And let's see those factors in detail. Let's see each internal factor in detail. The first internal factor that affects pricing decision is the marketing objectives. And there may be different marketing objectives, and those objectives are already discussed. And the objectives such as survival, current profit maximization, market share leadership, product quality leadership. And a marketer may be fixing a price according to the objective of its marketing efforts. For example, if it wants to just survive, then the price may be a lower one. If it want to have current profit maximization, then initially the firm may be fixing a high price for its products or service. If the objective is market share leadership, then also the firm may be fixing a low price that will result in maximum sale of its product or service. So the objective of the organization influences the fixation of price of its product or service. And sometimes the objective may be not for profit, such as partial or full cost recovery or social pricing. So whatever be the marketing objective, that objective or those objectives influence the price setting process. And the second internal factor that influences the price decision is marketing mix strategies. And we know there are other marketing mix such as product, place, promotion. And pricing must be carefully coordinated with the other marketing mix elements. And target costing is often used to support product positioning strategies based on price. So we may have a cost as a target. And based on that target costing, sometimes product positioning strategies are decided. And there may be non-price positioning also used. So the other marketing mix influences the price decisions of a firm. And a firm has to ensure that its pricing is consistent with other marketing mix elements. The third internal factor that influences price decision is the costs. And we know there are different types of cost, such as variable cost, fixed cost, and both combined together as total cost. And the variation in cost at different levels of production will influence price setting. When a firm produces larger units, naturally the per unit cost will be less when it is compared with a lesser number of units. And what is the level of production in terms of units will have an effect on its cost, and surely the cost will influence the price setting also. And the experience curve effects influences the price fixation. As a firm gains experience, have learning related to the production of a product, naturally that will result in reduced per unit cost of production. So as a firm gains experience in production, naturally the cost can be reduced, and as a result the price of that product also can be reduced. So the cost is another factor. For example, what we see on the screen is cost per unit at different production levels. In the first diagram A, cost behavior in a fixed size plant is shown. SRAC stands for short run average cost. And when a firm produces 1,000 units, there is a short run average cost. And initially the cost per unit will be slightly high, and as the firm produces more unit, it comes down, and when it goes beyond a fixed size of the plant, the average cost increases. So in the diagram it is shown that 1,000 quantity is produced per day, the cost is the minimum, the average cost is the minimum. And in the diagram B, cost behavior of over different size plants. And there 4 plants are shown in which 1,000 units per day, 2,000 units per day, 3,000 units per day, and 4,000 units per day are shown as quantity produced per day. And as the quantity increases, naturally the cost comes down, and the long run average cost is also coming down, and the graph shows that 3000 is the optimum unit that can be produced at a minimum cost. So it says, as the quantity produced per day increases or decreases, there may be a change in average cost per unit. So as a firm gains experience, naturally the per unit cost will come down, and that will surely influence the price that can be fixed for the product or service of the firm. And this diagram shows cost per unit as a function of accumulated production. Decline in the average cost with accumulated production experience is called the experience curve or learning curve. So in the diagram we see that as the production increases, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 4 lakh, 8 lakhs, the cost per unit also comes down. There is a slope in the cost line that shows the average cost declines or decreases with accumulated production experiences, and that is called the experience curve or learning curve. And the fourth internal factor that influences the price decision is organizational considerations. And the organizational considerations such as who sets the price. There may be different mechanisms in different organizations for fixing a price of their product or service. In small companies, CEO or top management may be fixing the price. In large companies, there may be divisional or product line managers for fixing the price. And in industrial setting or industrial marketing or industrial buying, price negotiation is very common. There may be a negotiation between the marketer and the buyer. And as a result of the negotiation, the price may be reduced. And that is quite common in industrial marketing. And some industries have their own pricing department. So these are the 4 internal factors influencing the price decisions. So they are marketing objectives, marketing mix strategies, costs associated with the production of product or service, and organizational considerations. And we have to understand that there are certain external factors which influence the pricing decision. And those external factors must also be considered when planning pricing strategy. And the external factors are nature of market and demand. And we know there are different types of market, such as pure competition, monopolistic competition, oligopolistic competition, pure monopoly. So what is the type of market in which you offer your product or service influences your price decisions. The pricing in a pure competition is different, entirely different from a pure monopoly. So the type of market in which you operate decides or influences your pricing decisions. And the second aspect related to nature of market and demand is consumer perception of price and value. how consumers perceive the price and the associated value of your product or service. That influences the pricing decisions. And the third one is price demand relationship. So the demand curve, price elasticity of demand, all those influences the pricing decisions. Let's see the demand curve. So here on the screen we see two types of demand. One is inelastic demand and the other one is elastic demand. Inelastic demand means when the price is enhanced from P1 to P2, the quantity demanded decreases from Q1 to Q2. And it is not very elastic, we can say. So there is, as the P1 is increased from, as the price is increased from P1 to P2, there is almost similar quantity of decline in the quantity demanded from Q1 to Q2. And in the elastic demand, when the price is enhanced from P1 to P2, so there is a large decline in the quantity demanded from Q1 to Q2. When P1 was fixed, the quantity demanded was Q1, and when it is enhanced or increased to P2, there is a tremendous decline in the quantity demanded from Q1 to Q2. So that is called an elastic demand. So the demand, nature of demand, the behavior of demand curves influences your pricing decisions. And the second external factor that influences the pricing decision is competitors' costs, prices and offers. How your competitor behaves, how your competitor reacts. When developing a pricing strategy, a marketer has to consider the competitor's costs, prices and possible reactions. And your price influences the nature of competition you may face in the market. Pricing strategy influences the nature of competition. Low price, low margin strategies inhibit competition. When the price fixed is low and you are gaining a low margin, then that will inhibit competition, reduce competition, prevent competitors to enter into the area of your business because they are getting only a low margin. When high price, high margin strategies are adopted, such a strategy attracts competition because entry into such business will give them high margin. So, what is the price you fix for your product or service will influence the nature of competition you may face in the market. So, the benchmarking course against competition is recommended. You have to benchmark your cost. You have to standardize the cost at which you may be able to produce the product. So the competitors' costs, prices, and offers should be taken into account while fixing the price of your market offer. And the third external factor that should be considered is the other environmental elements such as economic conditions, reseller reactions to price, and social considerations, etc. Coming to the economic conditions, surely we know the economic conditions affect production costs. It also affects buyer perceptions of price and value. When there is a recession, naturally a price can be perceived as high price when the same price is compared in an economic boom. So the economic condition influences the buyer perception of price and value. And the other environmental element is reseller reactions to price. Prices must be considered. Resellers may not be willing to stock a product with very high price. They may not promote sometimes an increase in price because their sales may be affected. So the resellers' reactions also must be considered while fixing the price or increasing price of your product. Sometimes government may limit or restrict pricing options. For example, in the case of emergency goods such as medicines, surgical equipments, etc., government intervenes in the price fixing exercise. So government may restrict pricing options. And the other environmental element is social considerations influences the pricing decision. The target market or the market positioning and the related social situation must be considered. For example, if you are targeting a low income group, surely your pricing should suit their economic capacity or ability to purchase the product. So such social consideration also may be taken into account. So there are both internal and external factors that influences the price decisions of a marketer. And normally there is a price floor and there is a price ceiling. And price floor is the price level below which there won't be any profit. So no profits below this price floor. If you reduce your price even below the price floor, then you may end up in loss because you may not be in a position to recover the cost of production, product cost. That is one extreme, price floor. And on the other hand, there is price ceiling. And price ceiling is the level of price in which there won't be any demand above that price. No demand above this price. So such a price is called price ceiling. Consumer may perceive a price beyond the price ceiling as worthless, as useless. So there are two price levels. One is price floor and price ceiling. And in between there is, you have to consider competitors' prices and other internal and external factors. So you have the freedom to choose a price between the price floor and price ceiling. Thank you.